receive a lot of phone calls about potholes. Question is, can you sue for damage and personal injury relating to a pothole?
Right, Leanne. So Japan gets the cherry blossoms in the spring, and we get the potholes. You'd never like to have traffic related to road construction, but when they're fixing potholes, it's great. And I do get lots of calls from people who have either been injured, pedestrians, cyclists, or motor vehicle drivers who are injured as a result of potholes. Can you sue for that? The answer is yes. In Ontario, there's something called the Municipal Act that governs the cities, and they are required to keep the roadways in a reasonable state of repair, having regard to all of the circumstances. That's Section 44 of the Municipal Act. And so usually the dispute arises around, well, what's reasonable in the circumstances? And fortunately, the legislators thought of that too, and there is a regulation that contains something called the minimum maintenance standards. And believe it or not, there's a regulation that's got a chart, and it says if it's a certain class of highway, whether it's a class 1 busy highway, if there's a pothole of a certain dimension, like 600 centimeters squared, for example, they may have 4 days to fix that. And if they haven't, and you're injured as a result, then you have a claim against the city. So these are sort of some of the factors that we look at. There are lots of cases that deal with it. But one important thing to note is you've got 10 days to notify the city of the losses you've suffered. Otherwise, it could be fatal to your claim. It's certainly going to be an obstacle.
And you definitely, I'm sure, have to prove the potholes there. How do you do that? Do you take a picture? Do you have to call in right away and have a crew go and assess it, as you said?
Yeah, so, one thing about a pothole, unlike ice, for example, it doesn't usually disappear unless somebody does something to it. It doesn't disappear unless somebody does something to it. So, obviously getting photographs, and actually what we do is we ask people if it's possible to go out and actually measure it, take a photograph with a measuring tape, because when you're looking at the minimum maintenance standards, they actually do look at the depth of a pothole, the length of a pothole, and so on. So it's they're out there. We know it.
We're looking at as if we needed the reminder. There's some visual reminder of what those potholes are like. But if you suggest someone does measure them, please be very, very careful on the road. Now,
of course. You don't want to run out in the Queensway with a tape measure.